One of the most chaotic and hilarious wheel changes I've ever seen when watching cycling. This was Tro-Bro Léon on the weekend yesterday. Arkea were dominating it. It's a race very important to the team in their region. And Connor Swift, who's won this race before, was at the front mixing it up. They got Hofstede, Pichon, slippery conditions. And it's like I mean, the UCI already has gravel races, but that means punctures. Plancart and then Florian Vermeersch, who did well in the wet Roubaix last year, doing well here until he had that puncture with 15Ks to go. So Arkea basically doing quick step, on-loop, regen, 3 guys with Pichon in the break with just Mozzato on another team. Pichon, by the way, was the guy who went in the Paris-Roubaix break this year, stayed up there all day and ended up coming 8th. So incredible rider. He's there with Hofstede and Swift. Hofstede came from Israel last year. Really good guy on the French circuit. And they start to roll Mozzato, who was good, I think, at Kerner with Laporte. They try to work him over one by one. Swift kind of struggling a little bit. Pichon and Hofstede are the strongest. And they've got these farm tracks, the Sector Rabat, whatever they call them. This was one of the longer ones, and it's got gravel and stones in them, so plenty of punctures. That's why you have both the neutral service, Shimano motorbike with spare wheels behind these guys, as well as at the end of these big sectors, soigneurs with spare wheels. And here we see these 2 men in a black and orange wig. Take note of them. They are important for the next part of this story, as Pichon begins one of the most bizarre wheel changes ever. Here's his man holding up a spare wheel out of this sector as it goes back onto tarmac. He ignores him. He keeps following or trying to follow Mozzato and Hofstede until he seems to think, actually, do I have a front wheel puncture? And he pulls off, but he pulls off about 50 meters or 30 meters ahead of his man. Pulls off, and then the Shimano bike comes with the wheels, and they're about to change as well. And then he sets off again. Sort of gets on the radio. He starts to try and ride again. He's like, actually, no, and stops. And so I don't know if he was convinced he had a puncture or not. Looks back. The man's getting the wheel off the car, and it's wet where he is on the side of the road. As I said, wet course, not helped by Pichon, starting to give him the hurry up. And your poor man absolutely eats it. As he's getting the wheel starts rolling. It's like a faulty tower skit developing. Goes to the man in the black wig. He's made quick time up this hill. Pichon's checking his bike, thinking, do I actually have a front wheel puncture? I'm not sure. We've got the orange wig. We've got a Navy SEAL sailor man in the background. The Arkea soigneur has made his way up with the wheel, and the Shimano neutral service guy, he's got the wrong tool out. He goes to take it out, the disc brake. He's got the wrong tool, has to reach back in, and at this point, it's just getting too much for Pichon. He can't bear it. He's like, I didn't even have a front wheel puncture. Why am I here? And he's getting some encouragement from the guys, and look at this scene. 4 guys, well, if you include the black wig guy, 5 guys staring around at Pichon, maybe not even having a front wheel puncture, getting his front wheel changed. Unbelievable. It was a slow change. I don't know where the man in the sail hat went. Oh, there he is on the right-hand side. And whatever this canyon fork, whatever happened to it, just dispense with it, because this was the roughest wheel change ever. I wouldn't ride that fork anymore. The boys take the wheel, and the next thing we see is an audition for the French bobsleigh team. And unbelievable, he pushed him off so hard, I think, is it to Lee? He literally, Pichon was going quicker than the lot of guy afterwards. What a wheel change. He still got top 10, I think, Pichon, but he cost him his race. I think he probably would have won. Eventually up ahead, Hofstede and Swift were trying to work over Mozzato. Now it was only 2-1, and when that didn't really work, they did what Quick-Step should have done, probably, with Bonin and Terpstra and Stannard back in 2014 Omloop. They just used Swift to lead out Hofstede and Mozzato and trust him Hofstede's sprint, and he duly was trying to close Mozzato. Mozzato tried to get out, but he couldn't get out of his draft either. Hofstede went early and beat him in the sprint easily. I think Arkea took nearly 500 UCI points yesterday in a race you might not have watched whilst the Giro was happening, and Israel will be ruining letting this man go, Hugo Hofstede. I think he might be nearly over 1,000 UCI points this season. Who are these guys shushing? Everyone's shushing this week. Is it me? Can Hugo let me know who you're shushing? Eventually, I don't know, tries to break his hand in the celebration, and Luca Mozzato's like, you're a wild man. Congrats on the win. But yeah, Hugo Hofstede seems like a fun guy, and pretty great win from him. Underrated rider. And yeah, he was G'd up. Love to see it. And Arkea are doing really well. They will be probably, most likely, a World Tour team next year. Here's the final results for Tro-Bro Léon. A lovely little race. Hofstadter winning, Mozzato second, Swift third, De Lee fourth, Watson, Lavelle, Pichon. That was 4 Arkea riders in the top 7. Hofstadter received a pig as a prize for winning the race, and that's all from me. I'll see you with the next one. Ciao.